Welcome to Booked, the Bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. In this episode, we'll be listening to Cultivating Equitable Bookstore Experiences for Neurodiverse Customers, a session that was presented at Children's Institute 2025 in Portland, Oregon.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Oh, we did it. All right. Well, I'm going to just get started. All right. So a bit of an introduction about myself. My name is Maisie Soetantyo. I am an openly autistic, multiply divergent, who got the diagnosis about 5 years ago. And I was one of those adults who discovered that I am autistic through my children's diagnostic process. But I also have ADHD and sensory and auditory processing differences. I also have learning differences, number dyslexia or dyscalculia, as well as I have problems reading text. So school was really tough for me. I understand how it feels for neurodivergent students who have worked very, very hard since their diagnosis, and yet the goalpost just keeps moving forward, because all the goals and the standards are based on neurotypical development trajectory. So I am openly autistic. I decided that I need to be an openly autistic person and advocate, because I don't want girls and women in Asia, I was born and raised in Indonesia, to have to hide and mask all their lives. So that's why I decided to be open about my diagnosis. I was a former behaviorist, and I shifted gear to do a relationship-based coaching and training. And at the clinic for 2 decades, basically, I work with parents of autistic kids and support them at home, figure out what kind of support is best for that autistic loved one. I'm a customized employment specialist, and also I'm a curriculum designer. I firmly believe that because I'm autistic, I don't settle. I don't mind starting over if I feel like there is something else that would support my cause, which is, of course, that is to make our community and the world in general better for neurodivergent kids. So when they grow up, they don't have to go through what many impacted people who are more impacted by their conditions. It's really hard. So the people that I love supporting the most are people who are minimally, unreliably, and non-speaking folks. To me, when we say quality of life, that should look different for everyone. And autistic people who are minimally speaking, they can also run a business with support. So I think that the people who should decide, oh, what kind of dreams should I have, is that person themselves. I am the founder of 2 platforms, which is Guiding Extraordinary Minds, or GEM. It is an autistic-led platform, and my dream is to provide resources and recordings and online courses led by neurodivergent people with all types of abilities. And I hope that it's a legacy that autistic adults can leave behind for neurodivergent children. And I watch my clients grow up, and some manage to finish college and still getting a summer job at Domino's, for example, it's still very, very difficult. So today I feel the world really doesn't know what to do with autistic and neurodivergent people. All right. So that's why I'm here today to share about what I have learned for the past 30 years. I've been working with the neurodivergent population for over 30 years. And yet, when I got diagnosed, I did a lot of shifting to unpack what does it mean for me to be an autistic woman. So today's presentation is a combination of my lived experiences, and I hope I can give you some good examples and practical tips. All right, so if I just want to explain a little bit about neurodiversity. Okay, I want to show you this. All of the infographics today, they're all created by autistic people, very well-known advocate in our community. This is the neurodivergent umbrella. Oh, what happened? Okay. We had this problem before. Yeah, it's not showing anymore. Okay. I'm afraid to touch any buttons because I'll make it worse. No. I better not touch any buttons. I'm just going to keep going forward. So I was going to show you an infographic of neurodiversity umbrella. Under the umbrella, there's so many neurodevelopmental diagnoses such as autism, dyslexia, Down syndrome. So that's the umbrella. So I have multiple diagnoses under that umbrella. So that's the neurodiversity umbrella. Okay, let me switch here. Oh gosh. My apologies. So when you hear the word neurodiverse means like people with different kinds of neurotypes, including neurotypical people. So I am a neurodivergent because my mind and my body functions differently as compared to the neurotypical population. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to show you the umbrella because I don't want to mess it up. But that's the difference. I just wanted to share with you the difference between neurodivergent, neurotypical. And when we talk about core differences of autistic people and neurodivergent people with different kind of diagnosis, these are the 4 core differences. The main one is our sensory processing. I'll talk more about that after this. The way we're able to process information and our communication preferences. Autistic people have our own language and culture and way of living. And it's not really a disorder or a deficit. It's just different. And the 4th one is executive functions and decision making. We're not going to be able to talk about it. But of course, because we perceive the world in a different way, of course, we make decisions in a very different way. So today I'm just going to talk about the first 3. Let me ask you this question. Which one of these 2 picture of the 2 brains, which one is a neurotypical brain? Who says the right? Sure. Yes, correct. So the brain on the right is a neurotypical brain. An autistic brain and many neurodivergent people with different diagnoses, they also have this kind of brain that looks like this. It's like a Christmas tree. It's always lighting up. It's always live streaming. Me being autistic with ADHD, it's a double whammy because I'm very distracted inside, as well as from the sensory stimuli. It also distracts me. So internally and externally, I'm very, very distracted. So, and this brain is, the research shows that an autistic brain is 42% more active, even at rest, that we're just constantly doing this live streaming like all the time. Autistic people do not have a filter. So everything's that it's incoming, but we can't filter it. So that's why multiprocessing, being able to drive and talk, like forget it. That's very dangerous. So we just can't do that. All right. Let's talk about sensory processing differences. Everyone has a sensory profile, neurotypical people as well. So I have this great video to explain. Hopefully, if I just do this, it will play.
We have 8 senses. 5 you have probably heard of: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. And 3 that you may not be familiar with. The vestibular sense, sometimes known as the gravity or balance sense, allows us to move smoothly. It helps us with balance while we walk and run, and to stay upright when we sit and stand. Proprioception is the sense of self-movement, force, and body position. It is present in every muscle movement you have. Without proprioception, you wouldn't be able to move without thinking about your next step. Interoception helps you understand and feel what's going on inside your body. For example, when you're hungry, thirsty, in pain, or need the toilet. Imagine for each of our 8 senses, we have a cup. And for us to feel regulated, each cup needs to be full. Each time we get some sensory input for one of our senses, it fills up the cup a little. For each sense, some of us have big cups, and some of us have small cups. Imagine you have a small cup for sound. It fills up quickly with a little noise, and any more can feel overwhelming. Imagine you have a big cup for proprioception. You will need lots of movement to feel regulated. Understanding someone's sensory profile is really important in order to know what they need to feel, learn, and perform at their best.
Okay, I was born with small cups. Oh, that doesn't sound very good. But what I mean is, my profile is I'm highly sensitive to sounds, smell, brightness, the feeling, tactile input. I'm one of those people who will ask a stranger, "Excuse me, do you have a pair of scissors?" Because my tags feel like it's really like sharp, like just on my clothing, right? I'm one of those people who would buy 5 colors of the different shirt, and that's all I wear. So the sensory processing differences affects everything for neurodivergent people. So if they are highly sensitive, of course, that's going to affect the way they connect with people. I can't socialize at the restaurant, for example, because I just can't hear. I can't follow the conversation because of my auditory processing differences. If there's complex background noise, I can't understand you. I have to switch it off, and I can't switch anything off at the restaurant, right? So that is my profile. So at any given moment, I could be having a sensory overwhelm situation. So I would have a migraine triggered, or my stomach doesn't feel very good and I have to leave. When I was younger in school, I went to a Catholic school, and on Fridays we would go to church. I would pass out. So any kind of assembly, going to church, I would pass out. So over time, my teachers just excluded me, like, just sit over there. So that's the sensory overwhelm. To some people, especially in kids, sensory meltdown. So you may have seen that in bookstores, people looking very, very confused because you just can't understand. You can't access the accommodations. You can't access what people are trying to say to you. You just can't access it. So that's a meltdown, and long periods of that, of course, is called sensory burnout. And it's very hard. It takes a long time to overcome that. And you may also lose functions that you can never get back, right? So that's my profile. Now, in a bookstore, you may see neurodivergent kids, and they come into the bookstore, they touch everything, and mom was desperately trying to chase the kid and feeling embarrassed. What you don't see behind the scene, what's happening underneath, is probably mom is also autistic, and they've been cooped up in the house for a couple of days because the kid probably couldn't go to school because of difficult behaviors. So when they go to the bookstore, it's like very, very difficult. There's a good chance you'll see a meltdown. You'll see the parent melting down. Parents of autistic kids are also more likely to be autistic or neurodivergent themselves, which means they have sensory sensitivities as well. So, probably the parent hasn't eaten all day because of the interoception issues. You're so focused on taking care of your child, and you've gone all day not eating or just snacking all day. So by the time they leave the house, it's like a landmine, right? So that's what is commonly like happening when you see parents struggling with neurodivergent kids. All right, so these are the pictures. Have you seen kids like this at the bookstore? Like, they're not acknowledging adults around them. They're just looking for Peppa Pig, or they're looking, right? And then that book goes into their mouth, right? That's because it's not just a book. I have another slide after this that I'm going to show you. Actually, I took pictures of my clients' books, and I'm going to talk about why autistic people connect and use books in a different way. All right. So when we are out in public places, low bandwidth is an issue, because being autistic or neurodivergent also comes with co-occurring conditions, right? So some people have depression. Some people are highly sensitive to certain type of sounds, and it's hard to recover. Some people have chronic migraines like me. So even though they sleep at night, they don't sleep well. And on top of that, if they have autistic kids, that makes it even harder. So bandwidth is an issue when they're out in public, because there are so many uncontrollable variables that steals more of their bandwidth, right? And kids are the same. Like, being in school is a sensory nightmare for students if you are autistic or highly sensitive, right? So it's very distracting. It's not just, even though in a bookstore or a library, it's quieter, but still getting to places, getting to library, to school, it's very noisy, right? So a lot of times panic attacks, that's a sensory meltdown. In a school, if you see kids who are just walking around the perimeters, or they're always at the library reading books because they are trying to manage that. They're protecting themselves, right? And of course, higher needs to self-regulate. Have you ever heard the word stimming? You see autistic kids, they hand flap happy, or they clap 3 times and jump. You see autistic adults. Usually people who are more impacted, they stim more, of course, because they're more sensitive. Actually, everybody stims. I love, one of my special interests is watching sports. So I always use this example. If you guys watch basketball, Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors is my team, leader. How does he stim? He chews on his mouth guards, right? All the time, right? Because stimming is regulating your energy. So if you see autistic people or kids do this, that's because they're working hard to regulate their energy. Neurotypical people do this too. They shake their legs, or they need to stand. I see some of you rocking. That is you trying to self-regulate so you can process information the best way. All right. These are unique ways that autistic people connect with books and literacy in general. Books actually provide a way for us to understand the neurotypical world. I actually memorized in my earlier years, I memorized a book about American football. So this was maybe 20 years ago. And I memorized the whole thing. And when I became a U.S. citizen, I had to pass the naturalization interview. And the officer also loves football, and I was wearing a 49er shirt. So instead of asking me the questions, we just started talking about football. And I was out of there in no time. So books really provide a way for us to understand neurotypical world. And it gives us a way to connect with other like-minded people who also share our interests. You have heard of autistic photographer. You've heard of autistic cartoonists or autistic authors. They are incredible. What they can produce, what they can write is incredible. And it looks different because of their experiences as an autistic person, right? So, books. We love going to bookstores or library. Why? Because the system is the same. We're so into systems. And it's a quiet place. You can learn quietly. You can do people watching. It provides all of those. So we love being with books and in bookstores. And as I said earlier, it's not just reading a book. It's actually holding it. The books have weight. Each page has a feel, right? So you see, that's what formerly was a coloring book. It looks like that because my client would do this very close to her face. She would flap the pages. She doesn't leave the house without this bundle, and it kind of changes, right? And because why do we hold it close to our nose? Because books pages have smell as well. So all the actions, all of our connections to objects, it provide sensory preferences, sensory input that we prefer. And that has to do with, the feel, the smell, the weight. Maybe if you flap it, you also feel the wind blowing, and that's really pleasing. So living in the world that's not designed for us, meaning that we are highly sensitive to a lot of sensory input, and they're not many preferences. There are not that many sensory preferences that we enjoy. And then I think books provide us with that, like multi-sensory preferences, experiences. Books also provide a mental picture. So autistic people are Gestalt language processor. I don't know if you've heard about it, thinking in pictures. I always say that autistic people see the trees, but not the forests. Books provide that big picture, right? Because you can mix and match. You can have a collection of books. The characters are the same. It's similar and yet different. So that is something we can understand and follow. Okay. I have another client who actually doesn't read very well, but he just loves buying books. So it's usually a collection. And I ask him, so why do you do this? So he says, because I like that sameness, things that look uniform and the same, and they look beautiful put together. Collections look great, even though you don't actually, it just looks pleasing to you. It feels very comforting in your own way. So that's why autistic people love to read. And of course, that's the lining up books. That's a lot of autistic kids do that. They also use books as they build with books. I actually have someone who does that. They use books to build the marble run structure. You know, the marble runs, you build it, and then the marbles go on the course. He does that with books. So it's really great. All right. Sensory processing differences. Of course, because we process more sensory information in general, of course, it's going to be jammed in here because we don't have a filter. So it's very hard for us to focus on, if there's a lecturer, to focus on that auditory input, right? Because we also see what stands out to us is how bright the room is, or maybe the humming of the AC. Those kind of input stands out to us. So it's very hard. We have to work extra hard to block out all these distractions, information we don't need, to be able to just focus on one channel, right? So some people say, well, if you have ADHD, it's because you have short attention span. It's actually not like that. We have a hard time sustaining our attention unless it's something we prefer. So this is put together by Helen Sam, S-A-M. On her website, they also have a lot of free downloadables. So if you're interested, you can go there. So the picture on the top shows you how information is processed for neurotypical people, because everything flows nicely, right? It's like having a fun conversation. Everything flows nicely. Both sides understand the intention and why we talk about this and so on. Now, for autistic processing, it's not like that at all. There's a lot of stops. So if you're picturing a Christmas tree, there are a couple of bulbs that are out. So it's just very uneven, right? That's a bandwidth stealer as well. If you have to work harder to block out input that you don't need. If you get distracted, getting back on track, that's a bandwidth stealer as well. So that is information processing, because we have so much to sort through, so much to connect to past experiences, so much to encode. The processing, information processing just takes longer if you're a neurodivergent with sensory sensitivities. Okay. All right. So now we go into some tips. Let me just go. All right. So how do we support sensory sensitive people who also struggle with information processing and communication and who needs a different way to communicate, right? So I put together this list for you. In general, signage, I have examples also. So after this slide, I have examples of a good sign. Signage should be simple, plain language and direct communication style. That also means that no jargon. So if you're doing like an infographic for events, I prefer to see bullet points, because if you do it in paragraphs, that's just harder. It's going to take me longer to process that, right? So simple language, if you can add pictures, that's usually helpful. I learn a lot. I say that I go to YouTube school, because YouTube's great. You can pause, you can go back, you can read the text, you can read the caption. It provides so many options for me to choose in the moment, right? So when you think about providing accessible accommodations, you want to just think, what kind of options can we provide to make this a multi-sensory approach? And for people, if they just want to look at the pictures, visuals, they can do that without anything else. So providing options on your website, it's really helpful, because parents of autistic kids, they get anxious leaving the house because there's so many unknowns, right? Parking is an issue. So if I'm a parent, I'm already worried enough about taking my kid out, and I have to park far away, or, just don't know. That makes me even more anxious. And autistic people in general, we absorb each other's energy. I'm that way. I can sense people's energy. And when the parent is anxious, of course, the child also gets anxious, and when they go into the bookstore, it's not an easy, pleasing experience. Okay. So neurodivergent sensory friendly book clubs or quiet hours. If there is a way for bookstores to provide that, it actually says neurodivergent friendly book club or book reading for kids, or adults. If there is a book club for autistic adults, you will have autistic people line up, because that's amazing. Because we relate to other people in a different way. Or we love just doing body doubling, sitting together without doing anything, without talking. That's the way we socialize and connect with other people. So opportunities like that would be amazing. Offering text-to-speak apps available on an iPad, that's amazing, because when we are feeling sensory overwhelm, we lose our words. My husband's here, and he will tell you that sometimes I can't finish my sentence. So he would finish it for me or just guess. So providing a simple dry erase board at your information desk, for example, would be amazing. Sensory regulation tools. Fidgets have come a long way. There are a lot of cool fidgets. I love my metal fidgets. I have one here. They're not expensive. If you have some available at your bookstore and you have a sign that says you can borrow these fidgets while you're shopping here, it would be amazing. Metal fidgets are great because it's easy, you can easily clean. And I think autistic adults in general, I always have a fidget in my pocket, in my purse. I also have earplugs that I always have it. If you can provide disposable earplugs in your bathroom is amazing because toilet flushing, that is it just shakes you. It shakes me. So just disposable earplugs for autistic kids, it's amazing because bathrooms are small and there's a lot of echo. So, it would be helpful. It's something that can be a game changer for autistic kids. Fidgets, weighted vest or pillow. You probably have seen those cute animal stuffies, but they're heavier. And if you have that available while the kids read, that's helping them to feel more centered. And coloring books or things like that, just when you feel out of sorts, you have an activity that helps you to redirect that nervous energy. So if there is a corner for that would be amazing. Trader Joe's also has those small carts. That's heavyweight work. So for kids who are just running all over, if there is something like that, they can push. That really helps them to just center themselves. Okay. Okay. A map of the space, that's great. I mean, where is the bathroom? Where is the information desk? Where is how you can turn down the music, like all of that. If it's available, it will be great. If you can put it on the website, all of these options, it will be very helpful because parents and autistic adults can prepare themselves. They'll know exactly where to park. They'll know exactly when the quiet hours will be available and so on. The next one is important. I mean, to me, we can't really force people to be inclusive. We can only influence change, right? So always have a curious mindset because the neurodivergent people were just born very curious. So if you share, just be curious and be accountable that you can also learn. And if you don't know what a customer is saying, you can just observe. It's okay to take a pause and just switch to a dry erase board, a small one, and say, and just write down, I'm sorry, I don't understand you. Can you show me what you mean? What do you need? So when you shift channel, and when you're just taking your time, you are expressing your compassion, and that is a game changer because most people are always in a rush and you want to get things done, and then you have an impatient mindset or attitude, and that's really hard for customers who already work very hard to make it to the bookstore, right? Always presume competence, even though we don't understand what some of the customers are saying, if they don't use mouth words to speak. But we always want to presume competence. People who cannot speak, they actually understand more than you think. And I think they read others very well, and sooner than that person themselves. So always ask for customer feedback. I think it's amazing to have a feedback box just for people to make suggestions if they need accommodations. Okay, so this is some examples. Our nonprofit, Autism Career Pathways, we have a certification called Better Community Certification Training for business spaces. So the training is all on demand, and then we consult with the businesses and help you customize what you have learned as far as accommodations and implement them in your store. So signage is one way you can do this. This was, we certified the Bookworm bookstore. And this is, they put this signage poster in a couple of places. Free earplugs available, being able to adjust the volume. I need that. I can't hear if there's loud music playing. And sensory seating available, maybe like this is from the picture on the right hand side, and it's another bookstore we certified, Books Inc. They're in the Bay Area, and after they're done with the certification, they created this corner for people to go in there, and maybe there's some weighted pillows there, as well as available fidgets in there. And different ways of communication support. I already talked about some of that. Magnetic letter board, dry erase board available. Guest Wi-Fi, if you're able to provide that, that's amazing. It's not that autistic people are obsessed with using their phone, or they always, because this is all. Neurodivergent people always only have their connection to the world is through their phone, through social media. So when the phone suddenly doesn't work, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, it just causes a lot of anxiety because they use what's on their phone to self-regulate as well. So if you are in an area where Wi-Fi is not consistent, if the guest Wi-Fi can be provided and is already there written, that's really helpful. I think that's the last slide. Oh, yeah. So this is how you can connect with us. That's my email. If you want to learn more about the resources that are currently available on GEM platform, that's the platform email, website address, and the nonprofit's address. If you are interested to learn more about the Better Community certification and the all on-demand training, I think there is a sign-up sheets, and also my cards are here. So if you want to learn more, you can just grab my card and email me. Okay. So that is your prompt to ask question. Do you have any question? Yes.
So, for example, the slide with the tent in Books Inc. It was Books Inc.
Yeah.
How do we keep that in a children's book space? That is a magnet for everybody. Right. And how do I make it so if somebody is in need of that space for their comfort, how do I exclusively use it for someone who truly needs it, instead of just having little kids run rampant over it 24/7? I guess is my question.
Yeah,
that's a problem. That's why we haven't really gone there, because
right,
that's an attraction.
So if you have a small space, you don't need a tent. You could just have like a corner with pillows, soothing, and there should be a sign that says like sensory friendly space, something like that, to mark it. There should be a sign when people walk in, they can see that there is a sensory friendly space corner with like available fidgets, pillows. I don't know if you've seen those pillows that it has sequins on them. Those are very steamy friendly. Those kind of pillow with different texture, I think for adults are helpful. And so that's my suggestion, is to make it available for people of all ages. Some sports stadiums and they do have a sensory friendly room, right? So if you have an autistic child, you can inquire to have access to sensory. It's on the website. You should definitely have that if you plan to have a sensory friendly space. Yes.
For the quiet hours, we've talked about doing it at my store, but we weren't unsure if it would be better to do it during hours when we're regularly open already, or to extend like on a Sunday afternoon.
That's a good question. So I would maybe choose your business hours, but when it's the quietest, slower time would be ideal to have the quiet book reading or something like that.
So just make space in our already available hours.
Yeah, I would think so, because I would hope that if you have all of these in all the more inclusive initiatives, you don't want to work harder for it. You want to be able to sustain it as well, right? Yeah. It's also great to use different themes. So if you have like Star Wars theme, maybe that would be great. And you have all of the books, the collection put together for that theme, and you can open it up for people of all ages. That's how you can help neurodivergent people find people like them through their interests. So other interests would be, for kids, usually is Peppa Pig, Paw Patrol, Sonic the Hedgehogs. I actually know a lot of autistic adults who love it. So all of this interest, if you just have fun themes, I think neurodivergent people can come. And I mean, it will give them a reason to leave the house and hit a reset. Instead of surviving leaving the house, they can actually enjoy and thrive and make connections. That's going to be beautiful. Yes. Any other question? Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
For the like sensory friendly hours and things that you had mentioned, how do we as booksellers and businesses gently encourage parents to stay and not necessarily specifically with children, drop their children off and leave? Because often my staff, and myself included, are not appropriately trained to care for a large group of children with diverse needs. And I don't know those children. Maybe they're regulars and you know them more. But how do we create a space to encourage those parents to stay and be a part of the silent reading or whatever type of space we've created?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think reading a story, reading a book for parents is always a great way for them to connect with all of their children with different neurotypes. I think if you announce specifically like parent, I can't come up with a cool name, like a parent-child reading, where you can provide books and parents can come and actually have their kids sit on their lap and read, and everybody's doing that. I think that's sweet to have that. I've done like an art, like parent and child like art creation session. That's always lovely to be able to do that. So I think maybe that could be the event itself. It's not like usually the owner of the bookstore, the staff would do the reading. That's fine too, to do it like that. But to have one that's created for parents to come in and read and see other parents doing it, I think that's nice. I would say just announce it. You have to stay and read it. Yeah. So the way to read stories when you have autistic or neurodivergent kids is you have to think about adjusting your communication style. Pacing is everything. So if you go too fast, these kids will not always understand. They will pick up bits and pieces, right? So if you can read bigger books, like those big books, they're great. If you can just hand out cutouts, color copy the characters from the book and hand it out so the kids can actually look at it while they're listening to you. Make it a more sensory, multi-sensory experiences. That would be amazing if you could do that. And that's fun because when you create the announcement, you can write, this is a multi-sensory rich experience story reading, because the kids will take home the characters and hopefully you sell the books as well, right? Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, slow down the pace. Use bigger books if possible. And some kids just see the text and not the pictures. So a lot of non-speaking autistic kids, they see the world in text, basically, and not necessarily the visuals. And some neurodivergent kids, it's the opposite. Right? They just see those colors or the pixels and they actually see the dots. So if you ask them to draw, they will draw in details in black dots because that's what they see, right? The challenge is how do you offer, and maybe you can have a survey after parents of autistic kids join your book reading event. Ask the parents, we want to learn more about how to provide a better experience during book reading. Tell us about your kids. What kind of books do they read? What kind of character do they love? A lot of autistic kids love to hold something in their hands. So it's simple. If you just give them something to hold in each hand and a pillow on their lap, they'll be able to process the information more. So offer that and learn from the parents. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, I think 8 minutes early. So I will be here. If you have any questions, come talk to me. Any questions at all, not necessarily related to this, but related to neurodivergence, I'm happy to answer. But thank you so much for being here, and I hope you learned some tips.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Additional educational resources can always be found on the ABA site at www.bookweb.org. Happy reading!